3 and 2, they are in series. Okay. No issue, beta. If there is a mistake, we can check it out. So 4 by 3 and 2. Now they are in series. So I'll have R given as 2 plus 4 by 3. If we'll have 2 plus 4 by 3, it would be 10 by 3 ohm. So I can get rid of this also, and I'll have 10 by 3 ohm. 10 by 3 ohm. Now 10 by 3 ohm and 2 ohm. They are in parallel. So if they are in parallel, I am getting 1 by R as 3 by 10 plus 1 by 2. So this will be 2 3 is 6. Yes. I made a very simple mistake. And 20. So this would be 16 by 20. So R equivalent would be 20 by 16. Perfect, beta. You were right. 2 10s are, 2 8s are. I think it's 5 by 4. Is it okay now? Or still some mistake? Now is it okay? Okay, chalo. So we got final R equivalent for this circuit, this network to be 5 by 4 ohm. Now this whole network finally results into this part. 5 by 4 ohm, a current is of 2 ampere, and we have a potential battery E. So now we very well know by applying Ohm's law, I can get E is equals to IR. E is equals to I into R. So E will be equals to I is how much? 2 multiplied by R is how much? 5 by 4. So I'll get 5 by 2 volts. So therefore I'll get E as 2.5 volt. So one part is clear. That is potential E is equals to 2.5 volt. Okay. So now we got this part 2.5 volt. Now, to find out the current in each branch of the circuit, what we require to use, we need to use Kirchhoff's law. Now we need to use Kirchhoff's law. And for using Kirchhoff's law, now what we get to know, what we've got to do is, first of all, we've got to take the direction of current. Okay, so let's start doing that. 2 ampere current comes over here. It will break over here. Fine, it will break over here. If it breaks over here, I'll get, let me take the current over here as I1. So here it would be, beta here total current is 2 ampere. So here it would be 2 minus I1, or I can say I minus I1 or I2, whatever you want to take it into. I'll take it as 2 minus I1. Now 2 minus I1 goes over here, and again it breaks. Again it breaks into 2 parts. It will be breaking over here as well as it would be breaking over here. Okay, so let us take it as I2. Let us take the current over here as I2. So what will be here? Here it will be 2 minus I1 minus I2. Yes? 2 minus I1 comes over here. I2 goes in this direction. So what will be left? 2 minus I1 minus I2 will be going over here. So again over here also it would be 2 minus I1 minus I2. Quite perfect. Same current. I2 will come over here. I1 will come over here. They all will add up again to give 2 ampere. So that means the current and direction that we've taken is perfectly alright. So now it is the time for us to take and to form the equations for loops. Chalo, let us form the equations for loops. Let us take this loop first of all, and we can move in any direction, you know. So I'll move in this particular direction. So if I'll move in this direction, over here the current and the assumed direction are same. So what will the potential across 2 ohm resistor? It would be 2 IR, 2, and current is 2 minus I1 minus I2. Perfect. Chalo, I'll move ahead, and I come over here. So now again it will be, current directions are same. So it will again be positive. So it will be plus 2 minus I1 minus I2. Yes? Priyanshu sir, won't it be I1 plus I? Beta, I have taken, see here, Priyanshu, over here, this breaks, total current is 2 ampere. I1 current goes over here. So what will be left? 2 minus I1. So 2 minus I1 comes over here. Perfect. So यहाँ पे बेटा 2 minus I1 will again break. 2 minus I1 will again break. So let us take the current going in this branch be I2. So what will be the leftover current? 2 minus I1 minus I2. 2 minus I1 minus I2. 2 minus I1 minus I2 comes here. Same current. I2 comes over here and I1 comes from here. So 2 minus I1 minus I2 plus I2 plus I1. So I1 I2 gets removed and we are left with 2 ampere. Is it clear now? Priyanshu, is it clear beta now? Priyanshu, is this breakage clear to you? Okay, chalo. So this is, so we are continuing the loop. This goes. Now I continue the loop and over here. Now if you see in this particular 2 ohm resistor, the directions are opposite. The directions are opposite. That means we include a negative sign, minus, and potential across this will be 2I2. So minus 2I2. This is equals to 0. So let us simplify this one. So I'll get 4 minus 2I1 minus 2I2 plus 4 minus 2I1 minus 2I2 minus 2I2 is equals to 0. So I'll be left with minus 2I1 minus 2I1 minus 4I1 minus 4I1 minus 2I2 minus 2I2 minus 2I2 minus 6I2 minus 6I2 and 4 plus 4 is plus 8 is equals to 0. I can simplify this equation by dividing by 2. I can, Vedant, we'll check the answer. So this is equals to 0. I can simplify this expression as minus 2I1 minus 3I2 plus 4 is equals to 0. Or I can say 2I1 plus 3I2 is equals to 4. This is the equation number 1 for loop number 1. 2I1 plus 3I2 is equals to 4. Okay, so now I can write this expression separately. That is, I have equation number 1 as 2I1 plus 3I2 is equals to 4. Okay, this equation I get for loop number 1. Let us take another loop. We have 2 variables I1 and I2 and we've got 1 equation. So I need 1 more equation. What I can do, instead of this loop, I can take this loop. Why? Because I am already knowing 1 variable in this, that is 2. Okay, 2 ampere is loop. So let us apply the loop over here. Apply the loop over here. You see first part. Direction of current is same, so it would be 2I1. 2I1. I continue. Negative terminal of the cell, so it would be minus 2.5. Anything else remaining in the circuit? Nothing. So I have is equals to 0. So that will be 2I1 is equals to 2.5. So I have therefore I1 given as 2.5 divided by 2. What would it be? I'll get 2 ones are 2. 1.25 ampere is the value for I1. I place the value of I1 over here. So what I get? 2 multiplied by I1, that is 1.25 plus 3I2 is equals to 4. So this is 2.5 plus 3I2 is equals to 4. So 3I2 is equals to 4 minus 2.5, which will be 1.5. So I2 would be equals to 1.5 divided by 3, which is 0.5 amperes. Quite clear? So now similarly, you got I1, you got I2, you can calculate the value in either of the branches. Is this very much clear to all the students? Please check, is this very much clear to all the students? Yes, please check. Okay, sure. So let's move on to another topic. Let's move on to another topic. And today we'll study about drift velocity. Today we'll study about drift velocity and relaxation time. Okay. Today we'll study about drift velocity and relaxation time. Okay. So now, what is drift velocity and what is relaxation time? But initially, if you take a particular conductor, if you take an element, if you take a metallic wire, okay, if you take an element, if you take a metallic wire, what exactly happens? What exactly happens when you take a metallic wire or a conductor? Initially, when you don't connect, when you don't do any work, when you don't apply an external potential or an external source, these electrons or the free charge particles, free particle electrons in the conductor, they are always in a random motion. They are always in a random motion, this way, opposite direction. Either of the directions, they keep on moving. Fine. So if they are moving, if they are just going on moving. So if you need to take the initial velocities, okay, the initial velocity of each electron, let be u1, u2, u3, and n number of electrons. Let us take it as un. Okay. So what you will give initial velocities? Initial velocity, the average initial velocity will be the sum of the velocities of each individual free electron, free charge particle divided by the number of particles. Exactly. Fine. Now, as they are in a random motion, so most probably the directions of velocities, if there are x electrons in this direction, there will be x electrons in this direction. So net initial average velocity, if you take for all the electrons, it would nearly result to zero. It would nearly result to zero. Fine. We have the assumption of part number one. Now, when you'll apply the cell, when you'll apply a cell or a battery, or you'll apply a force, or you'll do some work on this wire to move these charges in a particular direction. So if work is done, that means a force would be applied. Quite clear? A force would be applied. Why? An electric field will be generated, and this electric field will positive will attract the negative charge, and negative will push the negative charge. So, but of course, there will be an acceleration. There will be an acceleration. Okay. So, if you give them, so this force would provide some acceleration, and by Newton's law, we know forces mass multiplied by acceleration. Now, this force over here has been provided to whom? To the electrons. Perfect. By whom? By the electric field. We very well know F is equals to QE. We very well know the force acting on a charged particle placed in electric field is given by QE. Here what we have? Here we have electron. Here we have the electron which will be experiencing the force. Perfect. And the direction of force on the electron and the direction of the force on the electron will be the same as the direction of electric field? No, it will be opposite to the direction of electric field. So what will be the force due to the electric field? It would be the same, that is minus QE. Why I am taking minus sign? Because the direction is opposite. Clear? Now what is the charge on the electron? E. So I can write the same expression as minus EE. Perfect. So what would be the acceleration provided to these charged particles? It would be minus E by A. Yes? Yes? Chalo. Now what will happen? Now, initial case, it was on an average of 0, the initial velocity. When you applied or you did some external work, it experienced a force due to which it got accelerated to with a value of E by M. Now it is totally dependent on the electric field. You can see over here, charge on electron is constant, mass of electron is constant. So what is the acceleration dependent on, or the movement dependent upon? It is dependent upon the external electric field. More the field, more will be the acceleration. More the potential of the cell, more will be the acceleration. Right? More will be the flow of current. Ohm's law also. We'll come on to again Ohm's law. Quite clear? Okay, now. So we got initial value, we got the value of acceleration. When these particles move, but of course again there will be a collision. But of course again there will be a collision. But before collision, it is accelerating. It will collide. Again it will be accelerated. Again it will collide. Now this time between which it is accelerated, between two successive collisions, I repeat, this time in which it is accelerated between two successive collisions or before colliding is termed as relaxation time. Is termed as relaxation time and is represented by Greek letter tau. And is represented by Greek letter tau. Relaxation time. Okay, so we have two expressions with which we get the average of initial velocities as 0 and we get the acceleration as minus e by m. Okay, sure. Now let us see and consider the movement of the charged particles. Okay, now when the cell is applied, we got the expression for electric field. I'm writing over here for further reference. Okay. Now, as we know, sir, if electron is accelerating continuously, will it reach? Beta, it is not accelerating continuously. It is again and again getting collision. If you remember, we studied resistance, and when I was teaching you resistance, I told you resistance is nothing but the collision between the particles which is being provided. Okay, which is being provided. Remember this part. See, and if you will see theoretically, anything if you keep on accelerating, anything if you will keep on accelerating, until the time it doesn't get destroyed, it can attain a speed. It can attain a speed. But here in this particular case, it is regularly getting collision. That means there will be a loss of energy. That means there will be a loss of energy, continuous loss of energy. And that is what resistance we talked about. Got it? Okay. So now, when we talk about the movement of the electron, and now, when you are providing the electric field, the direction of current if it's in this way, what will be the direction of electron? It is in the opposite direction. If the current is in this direction, electric field is in this direction. So the movement of electron is in the opposite direction. This velocity, this average velocity with which the electrons move in the direction opposite to that of the current is termed as drift velocity. Is termed as the drift velocity. Is termed as a drift velocity. Is it clear now? ठीक है, तो drift velocity क्या हुई? Current is flowing in this direction or electric field will be applied positive to negative. Electron moves in the opposite direction, and this velocity with which they move in the opposite direction, they drift in the opposite direction, is termed as a drift velocity. So when you apply or you do the work, or when you apply a battery or a source, they'll be getting a velocity v. Again, I'm taking the average. So the average velocity v would be given as, you know, Newton's first equation of motion, u plus at. Over here we don't have t, we have relaxation time. Now this is how v is given as. So now, as to take the average, so it would be, now I can write the same equation, the general equation as. So v would be given as the average of initial velocities of electrons, because we are taking the average final velocities, plus so on and so forth up till un, perfect, divided by m. Quite clear? Plus a tau 1 plus a tau 2 plus so on and so forth a tau n by n. Now acceleration won't be a1 a2. Please don't get confused. Why? Because acceleration is e by m. All the particles, electrons have the same charge, have the same mass, and the electric field applied is also constant for all of them. So acceleration provided to each electron will be a constant a. Yes? Yes? Now, we very well know, and we already saw that the average of these initial velocities was 0. So what I am left with? I am left with v as A into average of these relaxation times. Yes, into average of these relaxation times. Let's take the average of these relaxation times as tau. Simple tau. So what I am left with? I will be left with V as A tau. And this velocity V, what we were talking was the drift velocity that we get. So I can symbolize it as Vd. I can symbolize it as Vd or the drift velocity. Now comes the time for us. We already know what is the expression for acceleration. What is the expression for acceleration? E by m. So I can replace acceleration by E by m. So as acceleration A provided to each electron is minus E divided by mass. So I get therefore drift velocity, the expression for drift velocity as minus E by m multiplied by tau. E tau by. Is this very much clear to all of you? Students, is this expression clear to all of you? Please check. Please check. Is this clear to all of you? Okay, chalo. Then, as we got the expression for drift velocity, let us also find the expression for current in terms of drift velocity. Let us also obtain an expression for current in terms of drift velocity. We got drift velocity as minus E tau by m. Now let us find out an expression for current in terms of drift velocity. Okay, why a negative sign is there? Beta see, you apply the electric field, okay, electric field will move from positive to negative. Barabar? It will be providing the acceleration, okay, positive to negative. Now, electron will move in the direction of electric field or opposite to the direction of electric field. Electron is negatively charged, it will move from, electron is negative, it will move towards positive and away from negative. So electron is moving in this direction and you are applying the electric field in this direction. So direction of motion is opposite, hence we are taking the negative sign. Hence we are taking the negative sign. Is that clear now? Anish, is this clear beta now? That because the direction of motion and we are taking the velocity, so we need to, velocity is a vector quantity. So we need to take the vector direction also. So direction is opposite, we will take negative. Okay. So now let us come on to the relation between current and drift velocity of these electrons. Okay. So what I do, I take a cross sectional area. Let us take a particular cross sectional area of this conductor. Okay. A cross sectional area we assume. Now the current is moving in this particular direction. Okay. So but of course all these electrons will be moving in a direction opposite to the flow of current. This you are studying from class 10. They will be moving in this particular direction and with the velocity Vd. That is, they will be drifting in this particular direction with the drift velocity Vd. Now let the area of cross section of this sample be taken be A and the length be L and the length be L. Okay. If there are n electrons per unit volume, if there are n electrons per unit volume, okay, and charge on each electron is E, charge on each electron is E. So what will be the total charge present? What will be the total charge present? The total charge present would be charge of an electron multiplied by the total number of electrons. So if m is the number of electrons per unit volume, what will be the total number of electrons? It will be number of electrons per unit volume multiplied by volume. Barabar? So I have total charge Q given as N E, and volume will be area into length. I can simply take it as area into length. So I'll have Q given as NEAL. Perfect. So total charge will be NEAL. Now, what about the time at which they move? Why I am taking time? See, current I is nothing but rate of flow of charge, that is Q by D. Current is nothing but rate of flow of charge, that is Q by T. So I can write Q now by NEAL, equation number 1, NEAL divided by. Now time. What will be time? Time is displacement upon velocity or distance upon speed, whatever you want to take. So what is the distance over here for the movement of electron? It is L. Velocity after you provide the cell, after you provide the battery, after you provide the supply, the velocity is the drift velocity Vd. Quite clear? So what I have finally? I have NEAL Vd divided by L. Yes, L and L gets cancelled. So what I get? I'll get therefore current I given as NEAVT. This is the relation between the current and the drift velocity. Please check and tell if you have any doubts. Please see if you have any doubts. Yes? Is it clear to all of you? Is it clear to all of you? Yes, please. Check out. If you have any doubts, please ask. Okay, chalo. Let's move ahead. And again, one important point now we'll do. Now let us deduce Ohm's law with these parameters. Let us deduce Ohm's law with these parameters. Okay. So I have come out with another expression. That is relation between current and drift velocity, that is NEAVT. Okay, these are the expressions that we obtain up till now, and they are very important because they generally come in your competitive and so simple and very simple. They are direct questions, and many students get confused. Okay, chalo. Let us come on to deduction of Ohm's law with these parameters. Okay, now we know drift velocity Vd, which is E tau by m. Okay, expression number 1. Now I am eliminating, I am not taking negative sign. Why? Because we are moving on to resistance, which is a scalar quantity, so it doesn't make a difference. Anyhow, we need to take a mod to remove this negative sign when we apply for resistance, and we are going for Ohm's law. Okay, so we can remove the negative sign. Fine, because this is not going to affect the magnitude. It is only showing that the direction was opposite. Okay. Now what is the relation between electric field and the applied potential? What is the relation between electric field and applied potential? We very well know E is equals to V by R or V by L over here in this case. So I can replace this E by V by L. So I can have, therefore, drift velocity Vd given as EV tau by ml. Yes, I have the expression for drift velocity now as EVD is equals to EV tau by ml. Let me take this as equation number 2. Now we know current I is NEAVD and VD expression I got this, so I can replace in this as current I. This is given as NEA into drift velocity VD. So I can replace this drift velocity over here from this equation number 2. So what I'll get as VD is equals to EV tau by NL. So I'll have current given as NEA multiplied by EV tau by NL. Please check if you have any doubts up till this point, because it's nearly done now. Please check. Okay. This is the expression for current. Now what I can do over here is I can find the ratio of V is to I. Okay. I can find the ratio of V is to I. So I can say V by I from here would be V by I would be ml. I'll get over here. So V by I is ml upon n e square a tau. Yes, I'll get V by I as ml upon n e square a tau. And what is V by I? What is V by I? V by I is nothing but resistance. So resistance R would be ml by n e square a tau. You get resistance R as ml upon n e square a tau. Okay. Yes. So if you see over here, mass for particular section, mass, charge particle constant, number of electrons per unit volume constant, charge of electron constant. If you take the area and length, the parameters as constant, okay, relaxation time for that applied potential is a constant. So this R physical conditions becomes constant. That means the ratio of V is to I is a constant for a particular section. So again we have Ohm's law from here also, that the ratio of V is to I is a constant. Yes, so if V is to I is a constant, if you take I over there, you will have I directly proportional to V, which is Ohm's law. So for a given section of wire, if the physical conditions are kept constant, the physical conditions LA kept constant, the applied potential is the current flowing through the conductor is directly proportional to the applied potential. Is it clear now? So we have R, one more expression as ml upon n e square a ohm, amperes, meters per second, meters per second. Is this clear, students? Students, is this clear? But is it clear now? If this is clear, so we had one doubt while I was teaching resistance and resistivity. That also I'll clear right now. Okay, chal. So let's move on to that query. Many students have that query. So let's clear that part also for you, because that is also very important, because many times you get questions on, see, these are certain topics which people many a time leave, but some students had a question while I was teaching resistance and resistivity. That question will be cleared up till now, that doubt will be cleared. I think Sakshi asked that question. So let's go ahead. We got the expression for R as ml divided by n e square a tau. Okay, ml upon n e square a tau. And the general expression for R also we know that R is given as resistivity into length by area. Resistivity into length by area. So let us replace R over here with length, resistivity, length and area, and equals to ml upon n e square a tau. So if you see L and L gets removed, area and area gets removed. So I have resistivity which is m by n e square tau. That's all. M by n e square tau. So if you see over here, again you can make out that resistivity is independent of length. Resistivity is independent of area. So what is it depending upon? It is only and only depending upon two factors. That is the number of electrons per unit volume and the relaxation time. And that too it is inversely proportional. But of course, the lesser the number of electrons, the lesser the electron density. The lesser the electron density, you can see over here. ठीक है? You check out for this part. So it is only and only depending upon the number of electrons per unit volume or the electron density and the relaxation time tau. Okay. So is this part very much clear to students? Is this part very much clear to all of you? Please check. Okay. Chalo. Now we got, I'll write this expression also. So as m by n e square tau, n e square tau. Okay. Chalo. Let us find out a relation between from this available expression, from these available expressions. Let us find out a relation between current density and the electric field. Let us find out from these expressions the relation between current density and electric field. Okay, so let us go ahead. What was current density J? Current density J is current flowing per unit area, I by A. What we have I from here? What we have I from here? I is given as NEA into drift velocity. So I'll have therefore current density as NEA drift velocity divided by area. Area gets removed. So I am left with NEBD drift velocity. Alright? This is what I am. Now you very well know what is drift velocity BD. Drift velocity BD is E tau by M. E tau by M. So I can now have as VD is E tau divided by M. So I'll have therefore current density J as NE multiplied by E tau by M. Okay? So what I have over here? I'll have NE square E tau by M. Fine, or I can also write it as E multiplied by NE square tau by M. I can write it. Find NE square tau by M multiplied by E. Now if you look onto this expression, NE square tau by M. NE square tau by M is nothing but reciprocal of the resistivity. NE square tau by M is the reciprocal of resistivity. So I can write current density J as E divided by resistivity. It is 1 by rho. From here you can see it is 1 by rho. So I can write current density as E divided by resistivity. And what is 1 by resistivity? And what is 1 by resistivity? 1 by resistivity is nothing but conductivity. 1 by resistivity is nothing but conductivity. Yes. So I can write it also as conductivity into electric field. And as we know it is a vector quantity, so I can take vector signs over here. that is the direction of current density, is the same as the direction of electric field. Is it clear to all the students? Please see if this part is very much clear to all of you. Students, is it clear? Are these expressions clear to you? Okay, so if these are clear to you, let's do a question and then we wind up. So these are the expressions that we've done today. These are the expressions that we've done today. But I remember these expressions matter a lot. These expressions matter a lot. Why? Because maybe many a times happen you directly don't get a question numerical based on this. Always don't go into numerical. Many a time what will happen, it will ask you questions related with relaxation time, related with drift velocity, related with say resistance of the wire. You need to calculate, or you need to tell the factors, if it is increasing or it is decreasing. So n multiple factors they can ask through these expressions. So these expressions are important for you to make out the depending factors rather than just the values. Remember this part. Okay, let's do a question for today. Calculate the electric field. Calculate the electric field in a copper wire, of cross sectional area 2 millimeter square, 2 millimeter square, and carrying a current of 1 ampere, and conductivity for copper is given to be 6.25 into 10 to the power 7. 6.25 into 10 to the power 7. So please go ahead. It's quite a simple and a straight question. Please do it. Quick. You've given the current, you've given the conductivity of copper, you've given the area. So we need to find out the relation, we need to find the expression for E. And we know the expression for E as J divided by sigma. From here I can also write electric field E as J divided by sigma. Fine. So इसका मतलब we need to find out J. So go ahead. Answer is Rudraksh has come up with 0.008. Yes, Rudraksh, it's correct. Yes, Rudraksh, it's correct. Sakshi, beta, check your answer. It would not be 1 by 135. Okay, 1 by 135. Please solve it and see if you are getting 0.008. Please check. No, Aman. Why it would be 125? See, it's clear for you. First, you'll find out J. What would be J? J would be I by A. I is 1 ampere. Area is 2 millimeter square. There, please check this one. It is 2 millimeter square. Sakshi beta, it should be 0.008 approximately. It should be 0.008. Maybe some calculation mistake. Please see here. J is current, that is 1 ampere divided by area. Area is 2 millimeter square. So 2 into 10 to the power minus 3. Millimeter square, sorry, 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 also. It's millimeter. You need to change into meter square. Okay. This is this current divided by area. So what would it result into? It would result into 0.5 divided by 10 to the power minus 6, which would be 0.5 into 10 to the power 6. Okay, so what I am left with now, I have E given as J by sigma. So it would be J, that is 0.5 into 10 to the power 6 divided by sigma, which is 6.25 into 10 to the power 7. You solve this and you will get the correct answer. Please check. Please check. I can write this as 5 into 10 to the power 5 divided by 625 divided by 10 to the power 5. Okay. So 5 divided by 625 would be 5 divided by 125 newtons per meter, which would be 0.008. It would not be 135, but it would be 125. See over here. Is it clear now? Students, is it clear? It would be 1 divided by 125. Aman, it's not 135, but how you will get 135? Yes, 0.008. Not newtons per meter square. How it would be newtons per meter square? Is it clear now? Please see. You can write the unit as volts per meter. How you are writing newtons per meter square? It is volts per meter. Or you can even term it E is equals to F by Q, newtons per coulomb. But please don't, here you are having expression in terms of current density and others, so you need to have this unit, volts per meter. Okay, chalo. So this section we'll end over here. Tomorrow we'll go ahead with another major part, that is the problems of, we'll do cells tomorrow. Okay, we'll be doing series and parallel connection of or combination of cells. Okay, chalo, thank you very much. Enjoy your day.